Hey everybody, this is Jim and John with Unique-ARs. We are going to start a small series of videos discussing how to build an AR-15. I know there's a lot of videos like that out on the internet, and we wanted to set ourselves apart a little bit by not necessarily talking about the build itself, but maybe a bunch of the tips and tricks that we use in our shop to produce a very high quality AR-15. One of the first things we wanted to discuss is setting up a proper work area for building an AR-15. One of the main components that we want to look at today is basically the work area.
You're going to want to start off with a firm work surface, a lighter color, so you don't lose the small components you're going to have around, little detents and springs. You're going to want to have it very solid and position your vise in a location that's going to enable you to rotate it and position that rifle in the way you want.
Alright, some of the other things we wanted to go over today are some of the different types of pads that you could bring in. And take this one for instance. This is a very common pad that you can get at your local hardware store, and a lot of people bring this in and use it on their benches to build on. One of the things that we have found is that this type of work surface, because it's really dark, it's very easy to not see the components that you want to do, and also it will allow stuff to roll over and off the edge. Here's another style that is very popular. This is one of the ones that has the diagram of the rifle on it, and it's you know, these are pretty good. It does definitely give you some reference points, so if you're kind of new to building, it gives you a real quick, easy way to look at you know, what spring you happen to have in your hand when you're assembling it. But we kind of find that you have the same problem. Things can roll off, it's very dark, it's easy to lose the components. This type of mat is one of the ones that we found to be the best. It's soft, it's padded, it's bright and easy to see the different components on it, and it's also compartmentalized. This allows you to put your detents, your springs, your trigger components all in a separate compartment, and that makes your assembly faster and easier. One of the other things that we think is very important is to have some good gloves on hand while you're working. And John uses a couple of different styles here.
Yeah, this is good. It's a very thin material that will keep your hands clean and keep your components clean. Something like this is, I prefer, it's a thicker nitrile glove. It's a 9mm glove. I think this is 6mm or 4mm. You can hit sharp edges, poke your fingers with little detents or roll pins, and it won't perforate, so I prefer these.
Alright, one of the other things we were going to talk about are rags. Seems like a very simple subject to talk about, but there are some different benefits to these different types of rags.
Yeah, there are. With the cotton, if you have an anodized surface and you're wiping it with the cotton rags, they will fray. You'll have little threads, fibers that will stick to the anodizing. Microfiber rags, there are a lot of them out there, and they seem to work better. They don't fray as much. They're not all the same, so you might have to search to find the good microfiber rags to use for that kind of cleaning.
One of the other things we wanted to talk about is basically we always like to have a little bit of this packing material, and we use it for several different things. One item that we use it for is when we are going to work with our vise, we can put it over the vise to make sure that we don't accidentally bang into any of the hard surfaces, and we can tape that down to the vise if we need to. And we also use it for wrapping our components in as we're going through our build process.
That'll protect it from any marring or scratching.
We also have a series of different blocks and holding components for holding on to the AR-15. Having a wood block that is non-marring, we can use these for several different options. We also have these round blocks with all the holes in it, and these are great for driving pins through and holding on to round surfaces.
Yeah, bench blocks come in different configurations. If you have an A2 post, you might want a different block. If you're just driving in gas block pins, it depends on what you need. They're made in so many different configurations. You'll be able to find what you need. This is a clamshell. It's made of a hard plastic, and that'll hold your receiver in there and lock it in nice and tightly. But if you have to do something like heat up a barrel nut to get that thing off of there, if that's pretty much welded on, if you apply heat, you're probably going to melt that thing. So you're probably not going to want to use that in that situation. You'll probably want to use something metal or a reaction rod. This device here is a no-mar block, and like the name, it's supposed to be able to hold your receiver where you don't mar it, and it's a good device to work on a receiver.
Okay, so we want to thank you very much for joining us today, and those are just a couple of the quick tips and tricks that we use in our shop to get started on our builds. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.